Hello everybody, we are back. So in this second part, we're going to put some textures on these objects and then we'll render it. First things first, in your viewport, we're probably just going to remain in this perspective one. So hopefully you still remember how to get around. So you hold down Alt, left mouse click to move around, middle mouse click to truck around, and just use your wheel to zoom in and out. Just one thing you need to make sure is on your viewport here, if we look over here, we've got this, which is like a checkerboard on a sphere. That means it's textured, it's showing textures. So if you just make sure that and that is exactly the same as this one, you'll get the same results. Your textures, you might have something on the bin, don't worry about it. We can replace it, or you can leave it as it is. So first thing first, optimization. Again, this is part of the unit. So we're going to go, if we come up here, you can see a little clapperboard with a cog on it that says display render settings. I'm going to click on that and it'll bring up the render settings. We've got common and we've got Arnold renderer, which is the second one. We'll go into Arnold renderer and make sure that everything is set at 2. This is a quality setting. Now these can be turned up later on, but for now, while we're getting everything sorted, we'll leave it at the sort of, quite a sort of low level, so it's a lot quicker for the computers to handle. The computer I'm working on is my one at home, and it's got a load of power to it, but it still takes a little bit of time. So just make sure those are all on 2. Perhaps screenshot that and talk about the optimization thing. So I'm going to close this, and we'll add some textures, I suppose. Well, first of all, what we'll do, we'll put a light in this scene, because if I go and try and render this now, if I go back into that Arnold tab and press this eyeball and press play, it's all black because there's no lights whatsoever in the scene. I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller, shove it over here. So we'll put in a stand-in light at the moment, and then we'll actually replace it with something that looks a lot more atmospheric. So in this Arnold tab, we're going to go across to the fourth one here, which is a sky dome light. Click it once, and it surrounds this with this dome. It also shows in the outliner, which is where everything in the scene is. And more importantly, in the renderer here, it actually uses this light to render it. So a sky dome on its own is pretty boring. It's basically a big dome, and it lights it from the outside to the inside all completely evenly. So it's good for showing details and stuff, but it's really not very pleasant, And as you can see, as I'm moving around, it's basically updating it, and you get this little bit of static. Right, so we'll stick some textures on this now. We're going to, seeing as we're using Arnold, we're going to use Arnold textures. Let's make that a little bit smaller again. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so we're going to select everything that we want to texture in a similar material. So we're going to start with all these metal panels. So I'm going to grab this one, I'm going to hold down Shift and select that, and this upright here. We can move around, make sure you're holding Shift whenever you're selecting something. So basically what I'm trying to look for is anything that I want to be metal. So all these uprights and all these metal frames. Just be careful not to select the actual glass. I'm going to select this one on top as well, and I'll also want these to be metal as well. Okay, so they're all selected. It's not done anything yet. I've just gone, these are the ones I want to texture. So to texture these, we hold down the right mouse button like we've done before, but this time we're going to go right down to here where it says assign new material. I'm going to go to that, let go, and it'll pop up with this little box here. We're going to go to Arnold because we're using the Arnold renderer. I'm going to click on that, and it's got all these different textures that we can put on. We're going to use AI standard surface. Make sure you don't click on standard hair or anything. Standard surface. I'm going to click on that, and anything that's selected has now been given this new material. And as a default, it's a sort of very light grey colour. You can already see how it's slightly different. So with this, there's a few things you can do. We can click in, if you're on the right hand side here, make sure we're not on the channel box, we're on the attribute editor, which is the second one down. We need to make sure that we're on the final tab, and that's the texture. What we'll do first of all, it's always a good habit to get into to highlight this and call it whatever you want to call the texture. So I'm just going to call it metal. And we can go down here if we want. We can go to where it says color, click on the color thing, and we could, if we want, change its color. So we can get this green color, and that's coming through on there. I mean, it looks pretty disgusting. But you can change all that type of stuff. You can it's best just really messing around with it. You've got metalness here, which is how metallic something is. You can start to drag that up, and if you look in the renderer, it becomes more and more metallic. But what I'm going to use is one of the presets because they're really good. I'm going to come up here, and where it says presets here, I'm going to click on it, and it's going to give me this new list. I'm going to go right down to this third one where it says brushed metal. I'm going to go to the left and go replace. And now it's given me a sort of semi-shiny metal. It's not like chrome. I mean, you can put chrome on if you want, it'll make it look like a mirror, but I just want this sort of little bit of metallicness to come through. Right, so I'm happy with that. Again, you could tint this metal if you want, so I can go back to color and, introduce a little bit of green. But we're actually going to do this as a night scene, so I wouldn't spend too long on the actual colors. Right, so that's good, that's on metal. And let's say now I want to make this metal on this lamp as well. Right, okay. So when I click on this, it's got everything selected. So what we need to do with this is separate it all. So I'm going to go to this modeling toolkit down here, click on it, and it says combine and separate. I'll have already combined these all. We want to separate them because at the moment I can't click on the lamp without selecting the bin and the floor. So I'm going to click on separate. And now, yeah, can you see? They're all separate. So I'm going to select this lamp, click on this dude, hold down shift, click on that, and that's the whole lamp selected. And I want to put that same metal on as well. So the easy way of doing that, because we've already set up this texture, I'm going to right click, I'm going to go down, instead of assign new material, I'm going to go down to where it says assign existing material. And this is where it's a good idea to label it, because it's right there. So, if you've called it green or something, that would be on there. So I'm going to hover over that, let go, and again now we've got a metallic light. It doesn't look massively different yet, but you can hopefully see in this render here that it's starting to have a bit of a sheen to it. Let's do the bin as well. I'm going to click on this bin. I want to have this quite a dark bin, so I'm going to right click, new material, Arnold, standard surface. I'm going to come over to here, I'm going to work my way to the end of this tab where it says standard surface 2. I'm going to call it bin or dark bin. So dark underscore bin. Dark bin 1. And as you notice, it's put this normal Arnold material on it. We need to make this more like a typical rubbish bin. So I'm going to scroll up to the top of this, and where it says color, at the moment it's white. I'm going to click on it, and where it says V for value, that's how light or how dark something is, I'm just going to drag this down until it goes really dark. And you can see again in the rendering window what it looks like. Could zoom in on it. That's pretty good. We can put a little bit of metalness into it if we want to make it a little bit more metallic. Again, if you crank it right the way up to 100 or to 1, it will look too metallic. Colour I'm going to keep as it is. We've got roughness as well under specular and roughness. If you want it to be really smooth, you can crank it up to full, and that'll make it quite dull, like a I don't know, what's the dullest thing in the world apart from me? Like a piece of rubber or something. And if you have it right the way to the bottom, it's going to be extremely shiny. So I'm going to bring it up just a little bit like that. Okay, so that's fine. These bins have often got gold around there, around these parts here. So I'm going to zoom right in. I'm going to go into face mode. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to hold down shift and double click its neighbor to make sure that that whole ring has been selected. I think we did this in the last lesson. I'm going to do the same here. So hold down shift, click on that, double click its friend, do the same here, double click on that. Click on that, double click its friend, do the same here, click, double click. So I want this sort of gold trim to go on here. So for that I need another material. So don't worry about making loads of materials, it's just part of it. So I'm going to right click with this selected, go down to new material, go to Arnold again, and I'm going to go to standard surface, just doing the same thing. Can you see normal standard surface is white? Let's go to presets, and let's give it a not chrome. Let's try copper. So we go to copper and go to replace. Click on that. Okay, we've got this nice copper thing. I think it's a little bit light, that. So can you see where it says color here? Again, I'm just going to darken that off quite a bit. There you go. That looks fine. So we have our bin, we have our light, and we have all that stuff. We need to do the glass as well, because obviously we want to be able to see through it. So I'm going to select this one, this, this, and this. It's going to be difficult to see if you've got it selected or not, because the outline of this is hidden by those by the frames. But you can see on the outliner here, these are all the things I've got set up. So glass texture, right click, new material, Arnold, standard surface, go to presets, click on that, go down to where it says glass and go replace. And that all goes transparent, and you can barely see the glass in this, but once we get some proper lights in, it will start reflecting properly. So at the moment this one is called standard surface 5. I'm just going to highlight that and call it glass. Click off it, and when I click back onto it, it should be, yeah, but it's called glass 1. I must already have one called glass. Let's see if we can get it to react. Yeah, you can see because this top one is smoothed, you can just start to see it sort of behaving more like glass. In fact, let's do this. Where it's glass, we come down to where it says roughness, and we'll bring up that roughness just a tiny little bit. If we bring it up a load, it becomes like frosted glass. Okay, which we don't really want. But let's just bring this roughness up to maybe, I don't know, 0.9, 0.1. Okay, 0.1 roughness, just to give it that little bit of a sheen to it. Just a couple more things to texture now. We want to texture the bench, so I'm going to click on that. Once again, same thing, right click, new material, Arnold, standard surface, and make this whatever you want. I'm going to go to color, and I think I want a red seat. So I've gone to red here. This is how saturated you want the red, so let's get it nice and saturated. Oh Jesus. And again, I want to get it a bit darker. There we go. Oh, and you know what? That's very glossy for a chair. Let's make it a lot rougher, so it's almost like, there you go. So can you see? Now it's like a dull plastic. Brilliant. So we've set up all of our main textures there. We can rename this one if we want. Plastic chair. So if I wanted to use it anywhere else, I can do. Right, let's get some more interesting light going on, because this is just boring as hell at the moment. And we're also going to put some atmosphere into it, because what we'll do, this is going to be a night scene, so we want a sort of moonlight coming down on the object, and we also want to turn on this this lamp and have this emitting a light as well. So I'm going to get rid of this sky dome for the time being. So I've just selected this in the background, or you can select it here. Just hit delete. Obviously all the lights go off, so there's nothing to see. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a light in, and for the time being it's going to look really dull, but don't worry, I've got a plan. So I'm going to come over here to where it says in the Arnold tab, it'll say create area light. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to zoom out a bit. Let's move this down a little bit. Right, I can't see this area light anywhere. So what I can do is press F to focus in on it. Can you see? So it's tiny at the moment because we are working in meters. So it's put this tiny little light here. I'm going to press W so I can move it. I'm going to zoom out a bit. Just move it up to here. And you want to place this light. Let's make this light a lot bigger. So I'm going to press R. I'm going to scale it from that middle point, if you remember it, so it scales it nicely in all directions. So I've got this square light, and the way these lights react is you'll see, if I bring it up into the sky, you've got a little line coming out of it. That line shows the direction of the light. So we want this to be like moonlight. So what we'll do, we've got all the attributes here. First of all, it says light shape quad, so the moon isn't square. unless you're a weird flat earther or something. I'm going to go to quad and change that to disk. So there we go, so now it's a disk. And we'll obviously need to rotate it down so it's pointing down here. So I'm going to press E for rotate. I'm going to click on the red axis and just drag it so it's more or less pointing in this direction. I'm just going to press W. I want to move it up a little bit and make it bigger again. So I've moved it up, going to press R, just scale it again. So I want like a decent, it's like a huge umbrella. You might need to fine tune this, the direction it's coming in. Okay, we don't see anything yet, so let's turn up the intensity of this light a little bit. So I'm going to change the intensity on this to 2000. So in this Arnold light attributes, 2000, hit enter, and exposure, we want to bring that up to 8.5. 8.5, enter. Can you see? It's immediately starting to light up this scene. And you can tell that this is made out of metal because it's starting to reflect the light back. It's still quite dark, but don't worry about that. Let's have a think. Yeah, I think that's everything for that. If I start moving this light, if I start moving the angle of it, you can see how it reacts in the render there. So just so long as it's got some type of, some type of light on it, we are going to be brightening this up by putting an atmosphere into it. Now that I've got this light in, I've just noticed that we haven't put any texture on the road, on the tarmac of it. So I'm going to come over here and zoom out a little bit, go into face mode, and select this one, press Q, so I'm in the selection mode, shift, and get this one, and this one. Pretty simple that. Now, with texturing, we can obviously, it's a huge subject, we can add double yellow lines and all that type of stuff, but just for the purposes of this, we'll just keep it simple. So I've selected those, I'm going to right click, new material, Arnold, standard surface, and I just want to bring this down so it's darker. There you go, that's pretty good. I'm going to probably keep the roughness as it is. Let's just see how it reacts with the light. Yeah, it's probably a bit shiny. If we zoom into it, you can see it's starting to reflect this curb, unless it's raining. I mean, if you want it to be raining, fair enough. But I'm going to bring the roughness up on this a little bit more. There you go, and it sort of gets rid of that reflection. So I'm going to call this road. And by the way, if you want to change any of this stuff, you go ahead. It's your model. And I think when I was showing you over here, you can select individual faces and change those. So very quickly, I'll just show you this, right? Click onto face, and let's just select this face and double click, shift double click its neighbor, and I'll give this a new material again, doing the same thing. Let's go to presets and oh, I don't know, let's give it a velvet for some reason. Okay, so now that just that little bit there is velvet. I can call it velvet. Right, that's just to show you you can texture however the hell you want. Right, so we've got this main light in. It is quite dark. What we're going to do is, oh, I'll tell you what. Let's make this light a little bit cooler because moonlight's often got a bit of a blue tinge to it. So the easiest way to do that is we can zoom out and we can select that if we want. But if I'm being lazy, I'm going to go over to here in the outliner. I'm going to click on AI Area Light 1. Can you see it's selected it? I'm going to go over to here and it'll say use color temperature. If I click that, we can drag it to make it warmer or cooler. So that's obviously warming it up a lot. I want to cool it down just a little bit. Let's see. You should be able to tell the difference there. I'm not going to go crazy with it. You want to be really subtle. But yeah, that's just giving it a slightly cold feel to it. Right, I want to be able to, well, I'm going to set some lights up in this this lamppost here, but I want to actually see the rays of light coming out because it can render it really well. So in order to do that, we need to set up an atmosphere. So I don't know how good you all are with physics, but if you imagine the atmosphere is a load of air molecules, different particles, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, all of that. with those particles being in the air, when the light hits it, it scatters off it, and that's how you get this sort of foggy look. It's quite easy to set up. Again, I've done all these calculations of the amounts and stuff beforehand, so you can always change stuff, but just be careful how much you change it, because you can probably get lost quite quickly. So I'm going to come back up here to where that cog is again, and I'm going to go to the render settings, click on it again, and we're back in this Arnold renderer thing. We're going to come down here to where it says atmosphere, underneath environment. I'm going to go right the way to the right here where we've got that checkerboard. I'm going to click it, I'm going to select create AI atmosphere volume. I'm going to click on it and nothing will happen. But what it'll have done, it'll have made this little node here called AI atmosphere volume. And we're going to put a bit of density in it. So let me have a look. So yeah, atmosphere, because we're working in meters again, it's just the tiniest bit of atmosphere. So it's going to be 0.001. And when I press enter now, you can see immediately that it's starting to fog up. If I try and look at this light source, see? Looks like the bat symbol. And this won't be in the render, so we're just using it to render it off camera. So we've got a little bit of atmosphere now, and it's starting to look a little bit cooler. We're going to just change this one, which is anisotropy, and we're going to change that to minus 0.6. That'll just help with a little bit with the clarity of it. I'll also just make sure your samples on this are up to 5. That's just the quality when it renders. If this is a bit light, which it feels a bit light to me actually, let's see what happens when we get this light and move it a little bit further away. So I'm going to zoom right out, I've selected the light, press W, and then move it up a bit, up and out of the way. So when I zoom back in on this, it's a little bit darker. Right, so let's put in a light for this this lamp here. So I'm going to click on another one of these area lights. Click. I'm going to press W, move it, move it. This can be quite tricky now. I'll show you a shortcut. If you hold down V for Vendetta, hold it down, can you see it becomes a circle? And if I click this circle now, it's going to try and snap to the nearest point. So I can move it all the way to the light and then let go of everything. I'm going to press F to focus in on it. Zoom out just a little bit. And I've kept this render window on. It gets a little bit messy with all this stuff on here, but it actually makes your life a bit easier. I'm going to drag it this way. I want to change it again to a disk. I'm going to rotate it by pressing E. I'm going to bring it around this way. I'm going to make it a bit bigger by pressing R. See, we're still a little bit off. It's important to keep your cameras moving. Are we any closer? Getting there. You can go into the different views if you want, but for what it's worth, it's fine. Right, so long as you can sort of see it, that's good enough. In fact, I'll make it a little bit larger. Make it a little bit larger. Okay, let's light this up. So for this one, we're going to, first of all, let's make the colour a little bit more yellow, because good old-fashioned lighting is more like that. So I'm going to click on colour. I'm going to change the hue, which is just a fancy word for colour. I'm going to make it a sort of orangey yellow, bring the saturation up a bit, and then we'll have to work on the intensity. So the intensity for this, I'm going to put at 1000, 1000, click. We can sort of see it starting to happen here. Exposure, I'm going to put up to 10, 10, click on that, boom, it's really lit up now. And the spread, so we can change the spread of this. So the spread of a light is just how sort of feathered it is around the outside. So this, the spread's at 1. I'm going to drag it down a little bit so it becomes, can you see it can get it so it's really sharp. I'm going to put the spread at about 0.3. 0.3. Hit go. I think that's too yellow. So I'm going to click on that yellow, and the saturation of it is fully yellow, so I'm just going to drag that down a little bit. So it's still got a yellow sheen to it, but it's not as knock your eyes out. Okay, I think overall we're still a little bit too bright with this. It just looks a bit yuck. So we're going to go back to that atmosphere node that we created. So we're in the render settings here, and if you've closed yours, don't worry, just click on that cog again. And we're going to come back to environment where it says AI atmosphere volume. And now we've got that checkerboard, but we've also got this little arrow here. It's like an arrow with a square next to it. Click on that and it'll take us back to this atmosphere thing. So let's just experiment. Perhaps we'll bring up the atmosphere a little bit. Perhaps this anisotropy we'll bring like that. That's good, but these lights are just stupidly intense now. So I'm going to click on this area light 1, where it's the intensity's 2000. I'm going to bring that right down to, I don't know, 500 or something. Let's go a little bit darker, make it creepy. I'm going to click on this area light 2 in the outliner. Let's bring that down. There we go, that's pretty good. Still a bit yellow for my book, so I'm going to click on that yellow, desaturate it a little bit more. Right, let's have a look around our scene. Looking good. Looking good. Let me just go onto this volume again, see if there's anything else, so bring the density up a bit more. It's tending to whiten out an awful lot, isn't it? Let's see if we can bring this colour down on it. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty good. So I've brought the colour down, or you can mess around with the density. Just mess around with this until you get it how you want it. But it's looking quite atmospheric. Last thing we need to do is put our poster in here, and we're going to actually have the poster illuminated. So yeah. Now that's funny, I was messing around with this and everything crashed, so it lost some of my work, so I've had to come back and just sort these lights out again. But thankfully, because we set up autosave, I just had to go to File, Open Scene, and go to my autosaves and pick the last one. So I lost about 5 minutes work, which is not really that bad. Anyway, shut up Chris. We're going to put this poster in now. This is going to be the most difficult thing to do. So we need to actually give this a different material, because if we just attach the poster to this glass, what's going to happen is it's going to replace all the glass with the poster, and we really don't want that. So I've clicked on this, although we can't see the outline. Again, you can see that it's selected here. I'm going to give it a new material. So again, right click, new material, standard surface, and I'm going to go to the presets, click on this, and I'm going to choose incandescent bulb and go to replace. And when I click on that, you can see that it's just starting to give off a little bit of its own light. We want the light though to be filtering through our poster. So what we'll do is this. On this, well, in fact, let's highlight this new material and we'll call it poster. Okay, and we're going to go down to where it says emission, because it's emitting light. So I'm going to open up emission, where it says color, this is where we want to plug in our picture. So hopefully you've got your college poster thing sorted out and ready. This is what we do. We go across to where this checkerboard is, click on it, and it'll give us this saying create render node. We want to use the file that you've made to work as a picture. So we're going to go down to where it says file here. Click on that, and this will change and it'll have a folder here. So I'm going to click on this folder like that, and it'll open up my source images. So if we remember that we set up all this big load of folders, open up source images, and that's where you want to throw your picture in. I'm just using this film poster, Alien Romulus film poster. If you want, if you put it on your desktop or anything, just find it. But if you open up the file again, it's gonna, if you delete it by accident from your desktop, then it won't be able to find the picture. So throw your picture in the source images. I'm going to click on this, click on open, and at the moment the scale's completely off, isn't it? So let's click on this, And what we're going to do is something called UV mapping. And UV mapping, if I click on this, right, and we go up to where it says UV, go to UV editor, you can tell, can you see, it's automatically tried to cut this bin out and flatten it out, just as if you built it out of paper and you were cutting all the edges out. So I'm going to click on this one with the poster on instead and see what we've got here. So it's a very thin sheet, so we've got these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, obviously, because the cube's got 6 sides, and we need to figure out which one this side is. So I'm going to right click and go into face mode, and I think it's this one. I'm going to click on this. Okay, just going to move this out. We're getting pressed for space here. I'm going to press W because all these keys still work in this UV editor. Press W. I'm going to just move it around, and we can see that that is the correct one. So we want to cut this out so it's not attached to all these other ones. So in order to do that, we're going to go Control Shift X, and that's while we're in this view. We can't use that while the cursor's off this screen. So that should hopefully have cut it out. So I'm going to click back onto it, and now I can move it freely on its own. Oh, you know what? I chose the wrong one. It's fine. So I'm going to click on this one, right click, face. I'm going to select this one face on its own. Control Shift X. There we go. That's the right one. So I just got the wrong one. So what? Now all we need to do now is stretch this so it fits this entire poster. And I think as well with mine, yeah, can you see mine's upside down? If yours is upside down, you'll need to just rotate this square. Press E for rotate. I'm going to twist it round all the way. Just get it as close as you can. It doesn't really matter massively. And I'm going to scale this up. I'm going to press R. I'm going to scale in the middle. Scale, scale, scale. And if it's a bit slanted like this one is, I can always go into vertex. So right click, go into vertex mode. I'm going to click on this corner, press W, move that into that corner. Don't worry about everything else following it, it really doesn't matter. As long as you've got the 4 corners of this, it's fine. Down to there, click on that. Down to here. Again, don't worry, this is like just the side of the poster, which you'll never see because it's razor thin. And just try and get it as close as possible. And now you can see that this is now fitting that perfectly. So if I move it, it's going to move on the actual render. Okay, I can close this down now. And now we have this here. And I want this to be emitting a little bit of light. So I'm going to click on it, go up to this attribute editor. Oh, we need to go right the way to the end now. So I'm going to keep clicking that arrow till we get to where it says poster. Come down here and it says emission. So we've plugged it into that color. The emission weight will show you how much it'll glow. I'm just going to try this at 5. I'm going to click 5, press enter, and just watch the render screen. There you go. Now it's actually bringing out a little bit of light, so it's like an illuminated poster. And to make that more obvious, I'm going to turn down my street lamp just a tiny bit. So I'm going to click, well, in fact, I'll do it in the outliner here. Make sure it goes green. Just going to bring that intensity down just a tiny little bit. So we're basically done. The only thing we need to do now is up the quality on this so it looks awesome. So I'm going to close down this window, go to this render settings. In fact, let's say I've closed that by accident. So to get back to it, we go to the clapperboard with the cog on it, click on that. Just remembered, just switch this off and then come back to it. We've not actually saved this scene yet, so unless you've been very forward thinking, you need to save it immediately because we're going to bring up the quality now, and this sometimes can crash Maya depending on how good your computer is. So I'm going to go Control Alt and S, and that'll just save me a version of this. Right, so we're back in render settings. I'm going to bring up this camera, which is the main thing for quality. I'm going to bring it up to like 4. And let's see, specular is the shiny highlights. We'll put that at 3. Subsurface scattering we don't need because it's not skin. So that's fine. So it's 4232202, all thereabouts. It really doesn't matter too much. I'm going to go to common as well, and we're going to change the size of this picture. At the moment it's HD 540, which is quite low resolution. I'm going to click on that, and depending on your computer you could choose HD 720 or HD 1080. I'll choose 1080. Close this down, and the only thing we need to do, we don't need to do this, but it helps a great deal, is we come up to here in the viewport, and it's got this little blue dot, and it'll say resolution gate. If we click on that, it will show us a preview of the area that's going to get rendered. So all we need to do now is choose like a nice angle on this. That looks pretty good to me, and I'm going to click on the play button this time and allow it to start rendering. Now it might take a little bit of time, this, depending on how good your computer is. Mine's on about 13-14%, so you know, if your computer's a bit naff, it's going to take longer. So you can either turn the quality down, or you can just go and have a cup of coffee and just wait for it to render. Don't move anything, don't look around the scene while this is going on, because it'll start from scratch again. So you can see we've got this glow coming from this poster now. It's just starting to dance off there a little bit. It's scattering a bit on the ground. In fact, I think I might have turned my emission up a little bit on this poster. And you can see it's got a lot of noise at the moment, like it looks sort of scratchy. If I zoom in on this, you can see the ground's very sort of scratchy. This happens when it's low quality. So as this goes round, it's going to look at each little square here. You can see these little white things dancing over, and it's going to refine it and refine it and refine it. So you could put this quality up to something stupid like 20 if you wanted to, but you know, you'd be looking at a couple of hours waiting for this to render probably. So I'm just going to pause this while it renders. Okay, back. So it's taken 1 minute 59 seconds. Let's just maximize this and zoom in on it. So can you see it's got rid of a lot of that noise and stuff. You know, the glass is showing up quite nicely, so we've got a really good little render there. If you want to save that picture, we go to File, Save Image, and it will save it in your Images folder. Again, you can put it in your documents or wherever you want. You just click Save on that. Now, if I were you, I would recompose this and get a different angle on it. Because you've done all this hard work, you might as well get as many renders as possible from it. So it's all about, if this slows everything down, you can just close this window, get your angle right. Now the poster, we haven't sorted out the reverse side on that. You could try that with that UV editor, but for what it's worth, let's just try and, yeah, we'll hide it. And zoom out a little bit, press play again, and set it up for another render. So that's about it, and if you've managed to do all of this, then well done, because it's not easy, this. Usually when I teach Maya, we spend about 8-10 weeks on it, and this is a real crash course, but hopefully it's just showing you some of the things it's capable of. This is still quite a sort of simplistic thing to do, and if you want now, because you've saved it, you can go in and mess around with all the settings, put more lights in if you want. And in fact, I'm going to come back to here, I'm going to come back to Arnold Renderer, go to my atmosphere, click on that arrow, and I might just make this atmosphere a little bit denser on this one, and just darken that off again. So there's loads of stuff you can do. If you want to, you can zoom right in and get a close up of the bin, if that's your type of thing, or this lovely fetching bit of what's it called? Felt? Was it felt? No, velvet. So just make as many renders as you want, and like I said, if you've got this far with it, then really well done. Again, I'm available if you have any problems with this. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.